G'day everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we will be going for the last beginner tips video of the series, which will be Oceania. So without further ado, not too many places to cover, so let's get into it. Let's start off with the big boy here, Australia. So what tips can I tell you how to recognise Australia? First off, they drive on the left side, which they do the same in New Zealand and most of these countries, apart from some of the territories that belong to the US, but good thing to know, they drive on the left side. They usually have these black and white chevrons most of the time. Sometimes they can have black and yellow ones too. Street signs usually look like this, just pretty basic looking, not really colourful compared to the ones in New Zealand. They're a bit different in New Zealand where they're more colourful with some kind of colour. The road lines are always white, centre and outer, usually just always white. Some mostly double white, but can be dashed like this, or like a solid and dashed as well. Poles are usually wooden, but can be concrete occasionally, usually green as well. The bollards are like this, they are white with a red reflector on it, sometimes in a circular shape as well. So those are the Australian bollards. And yep, that's all I've got to say about this one. And also the plates are usually a bit narrower than like South African plates, for example, and a bit longer than like the Americans plates. Here is another location in Australia. Here we have a giveaway sign, which is with a red border and black text, which is exclusive to Australia because in New Zealand this text is red. So that's a very good tip how you can tell the difference between the two. Here, for example, we have concrete poles as well. Obviously they still drive left here. And yeah, these like traffic signposts with these vertical ones and black bodies, these are Australian traffic lights. Now let's move to New Zealand. So in New Zealand they drive on the left like they do in Australia, but as I said, the giveaway signs here have red text, whereas in Australia you just saw they have black text. They'll have the same red border, the same white part on it, but the text is red instead of black. These yellow dashed lines are sometimes found in urban areas next to the curbs. Obviously the same ones can be found on Ireland, but they can be found in New Zealand as well. The plates are similar to Australia, they're kind of shortish. They're shorter than South African plates, for example. And yeah, quite similar to Australia's ones. These traffic lights are the same as Australian ones. They are black with a white border usually, and the vertical shape rather than North American where they sometimes have horizontal ones. The pedestrian crossing signs look like this, which is more similar to the UK and Ireland. Australia wouldn't have pedestrian signs like this, and yeah, obviously they have some similarities as sometimes both countries use all white road lines, whereas here they don't. And yeah, New Zealand is generally more hilly and mountainous, so if you see hills, you're more likely to be in New Zealand. And as I said, street signs are usually more colourful than just white. For example, this one is green. And another one in New Zealand here. This one's a more rural location. You usually see this kind of Gen 4 car with a white trunk and a blue stripe in the middle. Also, these speed limit signs are unique to New Zealand. They have this big red thick border, 2 white signposts and a thick number. In Australia they'd have this same circle but they'd have a white rectangle around the actual circle itself. So it's a bit different to the ones in New Zealand. Again, the colourful street signs are pretty unique to New Zealand. Same with the road signs, it can be all sorts of colours like yellow, blue, green. This kind of vegetation with these trees is pretty Kiwi as well. And those big mountains just everywhere. It's a very mountainous country, New Zealand is. And the poles can be similar, being concrete or wooden and green as well. Okay, let's now move to American Samoa, which is located right here. I've got 3 locations here because of the different Google cars you find here. So this is a territory of the United States, as it's called American Samoa. And the big clue is they drive on the right side, just like the USA. And this Google car with this black tray and this black body and this antenna here as well with a white dot. This is an American Samoa only car. The plates look like this. They are blue and white with a tree on it. Obviously they use yellow road lines and a very, very cool place with lots of big hills around. And very tropical too. So this is American Samoa for you. Also on this next island over here, Manua, where they have this Google car, which is this grey one with the mirror visible and just nothing else. This is only going to be on this island here. Also got one on the eastern island, which is this one over here, which has more of a blackish kind of dark grey Google car. So yeah, these are the 3 Google cars you will find in American Samoa. And as I said, very tropical, very hilly, some good ways to identify the place too. Okay, that's that done. Let's move to Guam and NMI. So these are 2 territories of the USA again. They all belong to the United States. Some more territories out here, and they do have coverage, as you can see, pretty extensive coverage. But these 2 territories can be mixed up a lot. So how can we tell them apart? Well, they both have this long antenna at the front, but the difference is on the car is that Guam will have a little bit of the roof rack visible as well. As we can see, the black cap in the middle of the roof rack is visible here as well. Both drive on the right. Guam is generally more built up than NMI. And another good thing is that Guam usually has concrete poles, whereas Northern Mariana Islands usually has wooden ones. And otherwise, yeah, very American looking island with this sort of, just look to it with the cars, speed limit signs. But yeah, it's just very island feeling with all the tropicalness and obviously this car. So yeah, that's Guam for you. And NMI, this is Northern Mariana Islands, where they have this antenna as well. No roof rack visible on the left. Same kind of plates, the short ones, but the poles are wooden. You know, as you can see, wooden poles, more wooden poles. The poles here are generally wooden. It's another wooden one there. Whereas you saw in Guam, they are concrete. And there's not as much infrastructure generally around in Northern Mariana Islands. But again, another American-looking place, very American influenced, but it looks very tropical with all the palms and very island feeling. So yeah, this is all good clues for NMI. And one more thing, this kind of red bush plantation here, this is also very NMI and not so much found in Guam. Okay, so now we'll come out here to Midway Atoll, and the other atolls are just out here. If you want to locate it, it's just out west of Hawaii. You go out here, and this is Midway Atoll, the famous one on the runway, as you probably have this location in the world map. It's a Gen 2 trekker, as you can see, Gen 2. A ton of birds around, these seabirds. Literally a ton of them if you just move around. And usually on a runway, sometimes you won't be, but you'll see just a ton of these birds and the Gen 2 camera. This is all going to be Midway Atoll. And there's some other atolls out here that have coverage, like this one does, that one does too, and this one, for example, is another example. What you might find here, it's Gen 3 trekker. And again, a ton of these birds just seen around everywhere. You see these birds just all over the place. It's just crazy how many birds you find here. But yeah, these are the atolls. Either give me a Midway Atoll with Gen 2, one of the other atolls in Gen 3 trekker. So yeah, it'll just be somewhere out here. Right, so that's the first trekker. Another place that has trekker is Vanuatu, which not a lot of people know has some trekker on this island only. It's only this part, just up to the volcano on this trail and over to this town here. So this is in the little town here. You're just walking about on a trail with this guy, usually with the red cap and the black backpack and the blue shirt. Walking about on a car trail, you can see some people around sometimes. But yeah, this is how you recognize Vanuatu with this guy. All the tropical trees as well. It's all very typical of Vanuatu. And if you keep walking down the trail all the way to the volcano, you'll find this, which is very cool. You're just looking into this volcano here, into the actual crater itself. You're actually inside it. So this is a very cool view of what you might find in Vanuatu. So yeah, this is also good to know. And I think the last place I have on offer for you here is going to be Pitcairn Islands, which is this British territory out here. It's literally in the middle of nowhere, like halfway between Chile and New Zealand. Literally just nothing going on out here. There's some trekker on the one where the name is Pitcairn Islands, the label, and also on the Adamstown Island, which is where the capital is. On the main island, you only have some beach trekkers on the east coast, the north coast, and the west coast. And it's just you're just on a beach. Sometimes you see this boat on the north coast, but yeah, you're just on a beach. It's nothing else you can do really. It just looks like other islands in the world with just beach trekker, nothing else going on at all. So yeah, this is all good indications of this island in Pitcairn. And here's the Adamstown Island, which has quite a bit more trekker just around the place. Literally everywhere here. For example, here, the easiest way to identify it is by this grey-black hair. That's the kind of hair the guy had on the trekker. So, and also this kind of brownish red soil is also pretty typical of Pitcairn, and all these pine trees as well. This is all typical of this Adamstown Pitcairn Island. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And that will conclude the video, I think, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you did like it, please subscribe for more tips videos, more advanced ones once you learn all these. Comment if you want to see something else, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya.